Welcome to my first writing video. In this video I'm going to tell you something about assessment of the writing tasks. But before we get started, some of you might need an explanation of the word assessment. Even though it could seem so, assessment is not a swear word, but it's basically what you get marks for at the exam. Cambridge examiners give each text 4 marks for content, communicative achievement, organization and language. The highest score you can get for each of these is 5 points, which makes it 20 points in total. As you might already know, you need 60% to pass the exam, which means that in an ideal case you'll be aiming for at least 3 points in each category or 12 in total. Now, let's have a look at what you have to do to get the points. To get 5 points for content, Cambridge says that all content has to be relevant to the task and target readers should be fully informed. This means that you shouldn't write about anything that's not related to the task and the hypothetical reader stated in the task gets enough information. So for example, if you're asked to write an article for an English magazine on the topic of the most important invention of all times and why you think it's important, the target reader will be a person who reads the magazine. If you name an invention and to write a proper explanation of its importance, there's a high chance that you'll easily score 5 points. However, if your text also contains information about a negative impact of your invention on our society, you may well lose points for this, since the information is not relevant to the task. The second category is communicative achievement. Here you get 5 points if you are able to use the conventions of the communicative task effectively to hold the target reader's attention and communicate straightforward and complex ideas as appropriate. This is how Cambridge describes it. To put it simple, you get your points if your text has got all parts it should have, so if you are asked to write an essay, you're expected to write an introduction, the main body and a conclusion. What is also important is the formality, which means that you have to know how formal each text is supposed to be and use appropriate formal language. Some people might wonder what Cambridge means by straightforward and complex ideas. Their explanation is that straightforward ideas are those which relate to relatively limited subject matter, usually concrete in nature, whereas complex ideas are those which are of more abstract nature or which cover a wider subject area. So the more abstract your idea is, the better. However, remember, there's nothing wrong with straightforward ideas, and if your text has got all parts it's supposed to have and the formality is right, you can still get quite a high score for communicative achievement. Now, let's move on to organization. If you want to score 5 for organization, your text should be well organized and coherent, using a variety of cohesive devices and organizational patterns to generally good effect. This means that your text should be ordered in a logical way and in general simply make sense. Cohesive devices are expressions which link ideas in a text together, such as moreover, it may appear, or as a result. You can very often find them at the beginning of a sentence. Linking words are also an important part of organization. You should be aware of the fact that most of them have got a different level of formality. Also, try not to use basic linkers such as and, or, but and because, but show the examiners that you know a few complex structures as well. The last category you get marks for is language. If you want to score 5 for language, you have to meet these demands. You should use a range of vocabulary, including less common lexes appropriately. You should also be able to use a range of simple and complex grammatical forms with control and flexibility, and it's okay if you make occasional errors unless they impede communication. So to put the long story short, you shouldn't make too many mistakes, especially the ones which prevent a native speaker from understanding. You should use a variety of grammatical structures and some good quality B2 vocabulary. So that's about it. If you like this video, click on subscribe because there's more coming soon.